everybody, this is T. Roy Cooks and I am Mrs. T. Roy, and today I am here to make a beautiful cake for you. I love sweets and I love desserts, and this is a great opportunity for me to make a cake for you because Troy's at work. So I've taken over his camera. Now this is my first time at doing this video by myself, so y'all bear with me. Before I get started though, I wanted to take this opportunity, since T. Roy's not around, to say a couple of things. First, you're getting to know him now through his channel, and you're probably wondering, is he really that happy guy? Is he really always that sweet and that nice and that just fun-loving kind of personality? And the answer to that is yes. He has a heart of gold, and he's extremely generous, and he's the kindest man you'll ever meet. And I just adore him, and I could be biased because he's my husband, but in all actuality, everybody that meets him just really falls in love with him because he's just a kind soul. But he does have one major fault, and that is that T. Roy is not very fond of chocolate. I know, all of you out there that are chocolate lovers like I am, it's hard for me to even say that out loud, and I'm sure you've gasped and your heart sank just like mine, but it's true. He's not that big of a fan. I, on the other hand, absolutely love chocolate. White chocolate, milk chocolate, dark chocolate, it doesn't matter if it's got chocolate in it, I'm a fan. So today I'm going to make an absolutely scrumptious chocolate cake. It's the Queen of Sheba cake that Julia Child did back in her day, and I'm going to do it for you today. It's wonderful, it's not difficult to make at all, and it's something that maybe you could use for the holidays coming up. So I'm going to start getting my ingredients ready, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, y'all, let's take a look at all of our ingredients. We are going to need 1 stick of butter, and you want this to be at room temperature softened. We're going to need 4 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate, and you can use this bar, which I've broken up into bits in this pan. I'll show you what we're going to do with that in a bit. Or you can also just use the simple semi-sweet chocolate chips. Those melt real nice too. We have 3 eggs separated, 3 egg whites and 3 egg yolks. We have a tablespoon of sugar. We have 2/3 cup of sugar. We have a 1/2 cup of cake flour, not all-purpose flour, this is cake flour. And then we have a 1/3 cup of pulverized almonds. Now you can use just regular almonds and pulverize these in a food processor, or you can do like I did and buy the almond meal flour, which is nothing more than pulverized almonds, and that makes this simple to do. So a 1/3 cup of that. We're going to use a little almond extract. We're going to have almonds to garnish. Need a little bit of salt. And if you have cream of tartar, we're going to use just a tiny bit of that. If you don't worry about it. I'll explain that later. And then we're also going to use Myers rum. And this is the brand we're using. It's a deep, dark rum. Or you can also use coffee. But for me, we're going with the rum. Okay, let me show you what we're going to do first. First thing that we're going to do is melt the chocolate. Now, like I said, I broke up the chocolate in little bits and I put it in a pan. And then on the stove, I heated up another larger pan with water, and I actually had it boiling, so I turned it off, and it's been sitting there for a while because you don't want it boiling, but you want it to be very hot. So you can take the little pieces of chocolate that you broke up, and you're going to set this pan inside of the other, like so. Can you see that? Sitting inside each other, and that hot water is going to melt our chocolate. And I'm going to add the rum to it as well. Just a sec. Okay, y'all, so I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of rum, yum, yum, to my chocolate pieces or morsels, whatever it is you're using, in the pan. That smells good. Now, let me show you what I'm doing. Let me get this camera over here. This is the part I'm not good at. All right, let's see. Just start stirring your chocolate inside the rum. And your chocolate will melt because it's sitting in the hot water. And we'll let that do its thing. It's going to continue to melt. So we'll let that happen while we're putting together the rest. A couple of other things that we're doing in preparation to get ready to make the cake is that we've set the oven for 350. That's 350 bake. And you need one pan for this cake. And it calls for an 8-inch round. And I happen to not have one. What I have is a 9-inch round. And that will make the cake even shorter than it already is. So I'm not going to use this. I'm going to use a pie pan. So I'm going with the pie pan. And it may look a little odd at the end, but this is for me, so it doesn't matter. And I'm going to prepare this pan. And how you prepare a pan, if you haven't made a cake before, is you butter it slightly and put a little flour in it so that your cake doesn't stick. Okay, so now I took a stick of butter and I went all the way around the bottom and around the sides of the cake pan. And now I put a couple of tablespoons of flour in there. And what you want to do is tap your flour around and actually get it on the sides as well. So I'm going all the way around the sides and the bottom. And then you don't want all this excess flour in your pan, so I'm going to go bang it into the sink and knock out all the excess flour. And voila! I have my cake pan now, buttered and floured and ready to go. Okay, next step, you guys. This is where we're going to beat the egg whites. And I wanted you to see it up close. Now this is going to get loud, but I want you to see how this is supposed to look. I've already put the 3 egg whites in, and now I'm going to turn on the mixer. And you're looking for the egg whites to start getting frothy with a lot of bubbles. Then we're going to add a pinch of salt. Now you can go ahead and turn it up. Now I'm going to add just about 1/8 of a teaspoon of the cream of tartar. Now I'm going to add my tablespoon of sugar. Okay, voila. We've got our egg whites. See how it's thick and doesn't fall off the spatula? That's what you're looking for. Okay, y'all, so the next step is we're going to blend our butter and sugar together. Now I have the stick of butter in the blender, and I'm adding my 2/3 cup of sugar. And we're going to mix this together on a low speed just to blend the two. Okay, y'all, I've got my butter and sugar blended together. Now we're going to go on to the next step. Okay, y'all, I decided to move over here so you could actually see what I'm doing. I moved the butter and sugar mix here, and I'd already put some of that chocolate in the bowl, so I'm just going to scrape that out now. This will make it a lot easier for y'all to see what I'm doing. And there's actually more. Let me dig this out. Maybe Troy can edit this part for me so you don't have to suffer through watching me do all this. Okay, so I'm mixing together now the chocolate with the butter and sugar mixture. So now I'm adding 1/4 teaspoon of the almond extract. Might have been a little bit more, some was dripping. That's okay. It's a chocolate almond cake. And then I'm going to add the pulverized almonds or the almond flour. It smells so good. Okay, so you're just going to mix this together. And once this is ready, the rest of this is going to go really fast, and then it's into the oven it goes. So now you're going to start folding in your egg whites. And the egg whites are what's going to make it lofty. Like I said, we're not using any of the baking soda or baking powder. So we're going to add about 1/3 of the egg whites. And we're going to fold those in. You don't want to stir them vigorously because you're wanting it to fold into your batter and become a part of the batter. And now we're going to add our regular cake flour. And we're going to do this a little bit at a time. I'm going to add probably about 1/3 of it in there. And we're going to go ahead and mix this together, incorporate it together. Again, not being extremely vigorous because you want your egg whites to stay lofty. And then you're going to put this in your pan and put it in the oven. Now normally you would use a round cake pan. Like I said, I didn't have one. Mine are 9" and this needs to be 8" since it's just one layer. You want it to be a little thicker and not so flattened out by the 9" pan. Now we're gonna, this is thick, so we're gonna push it to try to make it as even as possible. So now we have it all ready to go. Here's how it looks, and we're gonna put it in the oven. And it's on the lower part of the oven. You want your rack and you want it dead center in your oven. And that's it. It's going to cook. We're setting it for 25 minutes. Now here's the dealio. The way this cake is supposed to come out is that the sides are all cooked, but in the center, it's kind of a chewy, fudgy consistency. So basically, you're cooking it real good around the outside, but dead center, you want it to be a little bit jiggly, so that when you put your toothpick in, it feels a little fudgy. Kind of underdone, I guess is the terminology that you would use, but not so much that it's, uncooked. I'll show you what I'm talking about when we take it out of the oven. Okay, y'all, as soon as I put that in the oven, I realized that I had not added the egg yolks. So I whipped it back out of the oven, and I put the egg yolks back into a pan along with my mix and have remixed it. And it looks a lot creamier and shinier, the way it's supposed to be with the egg yolks. So here's hoping it turns out. But you're supposed to put the egg yolks in after you've creamed the butter and sugar together. Then you add the egg yolks to that mix, blend them all together, and then put in your dry ingredients like I showed you. So fingers crossed, this comes out okay. We're gonna try it again. Okay, the next thing that we're gonna do is make a chocolate icing for our cake. And this is the same one that Julia Child used on her recipe. We're gonna do it the same way. I've added the chocolate, 4 ounces. Actually, this is kind of a double batch because I'm not sure the recipe that called for 2 ounces is gonna be enough. So I'm making a double batch, and if I have too much, oh well. So 4 ounces of the semi-sweet chocolate. Again, you could use morsels. And we're going to heat it up the same way over the hot water. And I also added about 3 tablespoons of rum since I felt like it. And then we're going to add unsalted butter. 1 stick for sure, and maybe a little bit more. So yes, this is a rich and decadent chocolate icing. Now my chocolate has melted quite nicely. And I've taken it out of the water, the other pan. And I'm going to start adding butter to this, about a tablespoon or so at a time. That whole thing just fell in just then. And the heat of the chocolate is going to melt this butter. You want to make sure your butter's really softened for this because it goes a lot easier if it is. And this is, oh gosh. Now I've got about a stick in here. Now I've got the chocolate and the butter mixed together, and it's super, super thin. Can you see this? It's just dripping thin. So here's the trick. You take that same pan before, I put some ice in it and cold water, and you're going to set this pan down in there, and you're going to start stirring it around. Let's see if you can see that. It's getting thick again. See? Voila! Alright, now all we gotta do is wait for the cake. This is only a couple of minutes away from being done, and I'm gonna go ahead and check it. And like I said, it's cake-like on the outside. Ooh, and just perfect on the inside. It is time to take it out. You want it just slightly jiggly in your pan. And it is. So now I'm gonna take it out, and we're gonna let it cool. I'm going to take it out of that pie pan in just a little bit and put it on a platter so we can let it cool off completely, and then we'll frost it. So here we go. I'm going to pour the icing on the top, spread it around. You want to let it go down the sides as well. Remember, I made some extra because I wanted to make absolutely sure I had plenty on to cover this. And because I'm a chocolate lover, so I don't mind if there's too much. Is there such a thing when you're a chocolate lover to have too much chocolate? I don't think so. And now for garnish, we're just going to take some almonds and just place them around randomly. These are just slivered almonds. And if you have this on a cake stand where the sides rip a little bit, you could just pat these along the sides as well. But for my experience here today, we're going to just do this across the top. It looks delicious. It smells delicious. Chocolate and rum, oh my. Now don't forget, if you don't want the alcohol or you don't want the rum in the cake, and you're maybe serving for kids or anything like that, you can substitute the rum for coffee. All right, this is the Queen of Sheba cake. Decadent loveliness. And I'm going to cut a piece out and give it a taste. Now I have cut a piece. My goodness, this smells so good. That is heavenly, heavenly. All right, the chocolate, the cake, the almonds, the rum, it's just wonderful. So rich, so chocolate. Oh, so decadent. I hope y'all try this. It's absolutely delicious. That chocolate is so good. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't horrible. It was my first attempt at trying to put together my own video without having T-Roy here with me. But I'm sure we'll be doing more in the future. I look forward to it. And in the meantime, everybody check out T-Roy's channel because he's a fabulous cook. He's my husband and I love him. Bye everybody from T-Roy Cooks.